Greetings, brothers and sisters. Okay, so I want to address two things here. This is a video that's going to be on my Gratefullness meditation channel, and also it's going to be on, it's a standalone video and then in the Journey series as well. And so there's two comments. One person said that they were enjoying the Gratefullness meditation but were falling asleep, and I want to address that first. Another person said, well, maybe we should be celebrating Kalmash's birthday because Babaji said so in whispers. And so first, the thing about falling asleep, there's a thing that's available in the Sahaj Marg system, which is samadhi. There's the 8 limbs of Patanjali's yoga, and the final limb in the Sahaj Marg system, we started limb number 6 and number 7 and number 8. And number 6, I think, is concentration, number 7 is meditation, and number 8 is samadhi. And samadhi is a sleep-like state where you connect to divinity within you in such a way that it's like you're not like awake, but you're not asleep, and you're in samadhi. And the way to tell is when you come out of your meditation, when you're in samadhi, you'll feel light, and when you sleep, you'll be heavy. You wake up feeling groggy, whatever. But either way, sleep or samadhi are good things in the meditation. People are tired and stressed out. The fact that you get so relaxed in the meditation that you fall asleep is great. And people fall asleep all the time. I had preceptors. Kamlesh gave me a sitting when he was a good preceptor, and he fell asleep at the, and when you get to a state where you just close your eyes and you immediately go into a deep absorbed meditation, right? There's also something called Sahaj Samadhi in the Sahaj Marg system, where you're in a state where you're in samadhi, but you're also awake, you're aware. You're not necessarily alert, but you're not asleep. Like you're conscious, but you're in a deep state of meditation. And you get pulled in. So there's times you might go to sleep and then you come out of it, you wake up, and the meditation seems long, and you feel kind of restless. There's different effects of this, right? But there's no issues with, people think they're not doing it right, which in a way you're not, but you're learning how to do it. Like you're not going to be an expert when you come in, but even you're going to have thoughts. Your mind's going to drift. There's just none of it's like, nothing should be considered wrong. Like a lot of the thoughts that come to me in meditation are things that I end up talking about here in the Journey series or in my other videos and, whatever. So there's things that's coming to you, right? Information's coming to you. You're just learning to relax and go inside, and then, you don't let your thoughts lead you on some kind of, you can tell when the thoughts are a part of the meditation or they're things that are pulling you out of the meditation. But none of it's just you don't beat yourself up over it. Like everybody has thoughts. Like I can sit there and have just thoughtless. I can be thoughtless anytime I meditate, pretty much. Sometimes I feel restless and things would be harder. But I can just go and have thoughtless periods of time, but it's only for, minutes, right? It's not, unless I go into samadhi or something like that. But even, with that, years of meditating, like I can just sit there and not think about anything. Like I can just let my mind go blank. And it's, it's a gift that you get after just, putting in the time and effort. But it isn't the whole meditation, because it'd be pointless. Like you just, to be blank, like you're supposed to be understanding what's happening to you. When you get into sitting, you can start reading the condition, reading the work that's being done, right? Like Lalji would do work on Babaji, and he'd ask Babaji, what was the work I just did on you? And Babaji would explain it. Right, to the point where Babaji would know ahead of time what Lalji was going to do in terms of his internal world. So, there's that. You're reading the situation. You should be able to read your condition and figure out, and things, just, whatever. People have different ways of perceiving things, so you got to understand which kind of person you are. Some people are more visual. Some people are more audio, auditory, and some people are it's just whatever it is, right? You have your own way of figuring out and reading what's going on. You have your own specific sort of tendencies. And so that's all you're developing, those talents and abilities as you meditate, right? So going to sleep isn't an issue, right? It's like, the work still goes on when you're asleep, and it might be samadhi. So it's like not a bad thing. People should not be, feeling all like I suck at this. Well, nobody comes in being an expert. I mean, we all we have a meditative state that, maybe we're daydreamers or people, we've been developing that meditative state without really calling it meditation our whole lives. But, you're just beginning at something, and, as you do it more and more, you understand how to do it, and the meditation teaches itself. In the beginning, Babaji didn't have any books, and he didn't have anything to train preceptors. And he would make a person a preceptor and explain nothing to them and say, just go work. And the person was supposed to just go give sittings and figure out how to do it. And the people meditating were just supposed to meditate and figure out how to do it. That's what Babaji did, so he expected everyone else could do it, but they couldn't. So eventually there had to be books and explanations and talks and trainers to tell you what's going on and try to explain it to you, and that was good. But ultimately, at some point, you just have to figure it out for yourself internally through the process and practice of doing it, right? Like there's just so much, people can't meditate for you. You still have to do it for yourself, right? And so, it's not a bad thing. That's why, this is one of the things, if people had preceptors, they would ask and whatever. But falling asleep or, going into a deep state of meditation is desirable. Like it shows you relaxed. It shows you that you're, it's just, and again, people are stressed out and not getting good sleep. And, most people are, lots of people are taking some sort of medication for either pain or for sleep and things like this. Like they need pills just to get them to go to sleep. And then they do this system for a little bit. They're sleeping, more than ever. And they're getting better sleep, which is a positive step in the right direction. So another person wrote, let's just make this bigger here. Paul, I know you don't want to celebrate and give legitimacy to Kamlesh as a master, but Babaji says in the Whispers message that we should celebrate these 4 blessed days. Should we have a gathering anyway? We could call it Master's Day or something, celebrating the hierarchy in some way. I would understand the apprehension of doing this, but I love the gatherings and would hate to miss out on a well-needed gathering. God bless. The day of the gathering, I'm mentioning Kamlesh's birthday, September 28th. There may be some other day in the fall if you want to stay the hell away from confusing a celebration of him and not the other real masters. So I'm glad people are liking the gatherings, and I'm glad they're thinking about it this way. This was positive. The thing about it for me is I've never had a good Kamlesh's birthday gathering. So, there was a lot of energy in the first one. And so this is in 2015. Charji died in December 2014, so right before 2015. And I went to the Charji's birthday, and then Daji made these arbitrary rules, which I covered extensively in my Journey series, and was not allowing kids, which of course turned out to be just his stupidity. He did a bunch of stupid shit right off the bat. And me and my son got kicked out, which is completely fucked up. And I left during the sitting, and I could feel the energy. And I was, basically going to quit Sahaj Marg because I'm like, Daji's the chosen master, like he was the legitimate master. And if I can't make it to a gathering, this was the first gathering I was going to sleep at. So, and I wrote him a letter, and I think he got all defensive about it. His failure and his suckiness, because he's like, weak and pathetic. But after that, the next year, at Babaji's birthday, I went to a gathering before we came back to India, and Daji decentralized the gatherings. And he came to America. He was in America for Charji's birthday. And they didn't have a gathering in India. And then, I don't know if they had one for Daji's birthday, but I don't remember it. I have no memory of it. And so, for a couple of years, they were building Kana, and they weren't having big gatherings. And Daji was trying to cancel all these gatherings anyway, because he didn't like them, and he sucked, and he's just whatever. And so, I don't have any experience of Daji's birthday being legitimate, right? Now, what this person's referring to is, I've read this message that Babaji said there'd be these 4 cardinal points. And there would be a gathering, in February. February 2nd was when, they celebrate Lalaji's birthday. the day of Basant changes every year, the first day of spring. So that's whatever that is. I don't know why, but that's what they do in India. He was born on Basant. But his original birthday date, as far as I know, was always February 2nd, and that's when it was celebrated. And then Babaji's birthday was April 30th, and then Charji's birthday was July 24th. And so it would go in order, and then Kamlesh's was the 28th of September. And so that was great because you would have a boost in the 4 quadrants, right, the 4 seasons. You'd have these boosts, right, 4, points of the time that would be kind of equidistant from each other. And you get a little boost. And Babaji said we were supposed to celebrate all of these days on the same day, on the day itself. But the problem is Kamlesh, and I don't know, when Babaji gave that message, he knew Kamlesh was going to fall. And I don't know what's going to happen in the future, right? And there's so much unknown here. But for me personally, I can't acknowledge the guy. And his birthdays have never been, I've never had a memory of a Kamlesh birthday celebration where it was good. Like I felt the energy, and it was like I felt it, but I don't remember it, right? Like I don't remember any of them. I don't remember any of them being, of course I didn't, I went to that one and got kicked out, and all the after ones after that were canceled or whatever. They were minimized, so I can't celebrate the guy's life. Like I can't, and I benefited somewhat from him, in a positive way before he fell, and then, more because of just what I've gone through since then, right? So I can't say there's no benefit there, but he's destroyed Sahaj Marg and he's wrecked the thing. And I don't think he should be memorialized. And his, what he's done to Charji, and he's trying to get rid of Charji's birthday. And so, I just can't think about it that way, right? Personally, other people who want to, you can do it on your own. You can always, say this is going to be a fall gathering. But I'm not going to do that with Gratefullness, because what Babaji said was contingent on Kamlesh being a real master. And I don't know Babaji's Whispers of the Brighter World, he should have foresight. So I don't know why he said that when, I don't know. That part's all confusing. Because all the things that he said about Kamlesh and all the things that he said about the 4 cardinal points and these things, he should have had full knowledge that Kamlesh is going to shit the bed. Time and space doesn't exist for him. He's not in a physical body. And so, all that part is confusing, right? Why endorse somebody who's obviously, it's not that just Kamlesh sucks. He's tried to destroy his master Charji, which is the most sacrilegious and ungrateful thing you could do. It's the worst thing you could do, right? Charji did everything for him. And he's, and means so much to other people. Even if Daji didn't dig him, he shouldn't exclude people from Charji's birthday. And just all the, he just, whatever his problem is with Charji, he's been trying to cancel Charji's birthday and minimize Charji for his entire time as master, which is just such a demonic, devilish thing to do. And so, his birthday really can't be celebrated. It shouldn't be celebrated. And so, yeah, there should be something there, but I'm not creating things like that, right? I'm just not going to just create something because we need it there, I don't, that's not something I felt led to do. In the past, there was more gatherings, Charji would come to America, and that was, that was the biggest thing for me. When Charji came to America, it was bigger and better than the 4 gatherings, because I couldn't go to India for those gatherings. And so, spending time with Charji in America was, for the first 7 years of my practice, was more important than the gatherings of the birthdays, because Charji would come to America, and then my trips to India, which was, one was in 1995, and the other one was in 2005. And so, there was twice, I started in 1993, so, and then the many trips in 2012. And so those were my trips to India, a period of, and then one, recently 2020. And so, those were great. And, even then there wasn't gatherings going on, but sometimes there were, in 2012, there's an American gathering with Charji in India. So that was a bigger thing for me than the birthday gatherings, right? Because that's the loss that we now have. Because usually there'd be a gathering. I went to the Melina ashram for some of the Babaji birthdays. That was good because it was April. It wasn't too hot there. Charji birthdays. Sometimes we'd celebrate it as a center, and then I became a preceptor and would celebrate it. And then, later my family and I would do things like when we couldn't go to something, and we didn't have a center. Like sometimes there'd be a preceptor, sometimes there wouldn't be, right? And so, celebrating him was great, at home, and this is what we're doing now on the internet, and the sittings are good. But it's not the same as going to an ashram where you leave your life behind and you're just there to focus on that. Because it's just more efforts put into it, and there's more, the whole thing becomes a gathering, right? Because you're just there at the ashram and you're talking to other people, and there's things going on, talks and, activities and things. And so it just becomes more focused, right? And going to India, of course, the meditations were better. But those things don't exist. Unfortunately, they don't, and I don't know how to recreate them. Like, I can't build it. I'm not an organization building person. I'm not that. Like, I've encouraged people to find a way to, connect with each other, and, people who want to do this. And, I can't put on a gathering myself. It just, end up being too overwhelmed, like, I don't know how to go about it. I'm not an organized person. I'm not a people person. But, the gatherings would be great to have, right? And then, like having a gathering in the fall, that would be something that would substitute. Because it's the same thing as when people... I've been to so many different types of gatherings. And I've had all these different trips to the ashrams. We used to have an ashram in Catskill, New York, and we go there for a weekend or one day. And that was a gathering of people from all over the country. There'd be 100 or 200 people there or something. And, not, for that region, that area. Then we had the meditation hall in Sunderland, Massachusetts, that people couldn't sleep at, but there would be a gathering for a weekend. People would come from the various areas, and every month there would be a regional gathering from, people in Massachusetts, New York, New Hampshire, Connecticut, these places. And New Jersey, most people would come from New York. Kamlish used to come there occasionally, or probably pretty often. And because it was the only, ashram that was in that area. Now there's some in New York and things, the bogus Kamlish ashrams. So there are these various gatherings and, times that you would be able to do these things. Some of them were for a weekend, some of them for, like it was a whole week. Chargy would come. Sometimes it was like 4 or 5 days, gatherings. And then there was the birthday ones. And you get these boosts, and they were good to have. But, it's confusing Babaji saying the 4 cardinal points when Daji has been nothing but a failure since day one. Like, I understand that he was immediately... As soon as Chargy died, he's tried to scrub him from the mission, and that was, whatever was going on with him, he just was a failure to launch. And so his birthday, his life is a failure and shouldn't be celebrated. And, I don't have some other plan for that, that time period. I don't, And so, yeah, it's good that it would be good to have a gathering sometime at that period, but, it's not coming internally for me like a solution to that, right? Just like it isn't coming internally to me for a solution to these other things we used to get. Chargy was traveled 200 days a year. So people would get to see him pretty much every year, and even the people who couldn't go to India, they would see him in Europe, and he would go to Europe and America, and he traveled all over India because lots of people in India couldn't make the trip to Chennai or to the gatherings. But he'd see him, they'd get a chance to see him because he made himself available. And Kamlish, even if he made himself available, he sucks, so it's not the same thing, right? And so, that part is missing. And it sucks, but it's just, what we have to deal with. Anyway, so I just want to address these 2 things here. Only spirituality will save this MNFing world. It's Paul Romano, definitely reporting from the Apocalaughs and the Ascension. Everyone have a blessed day, and be grateful.